I'm sitting here with Sun luminary, Simon Phipps, the Chief Open Source Officer.
Hi Chris, good to see you.
It's good to see you too, as always.
Yes.
So JavaOne 2008, huge this year. A lot of stuff being done in the open source community. What are the most exciting things that you've seen at the show this year?
Well, some of them are things happening at the show. Some of the things are happening by happenstance at the same time. I think the most gratifying thing that I've seen this week has been OpenJDK 6. That's the Java platform that Sun open sourced under the GPL last year. It's been worked on in the community with all sorts of people, and this week it emerged on Ubuntu on their new 8.05 LTS release. Mm-hmm. It's also available on Fedora. And I found out today that it's also available on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So from a base 2 years ago where Java was a no-go region for Linux developers, we've come 2 years on to a place where Java is right at the heart of the main distributions that developers are using, and I find that tremendously exciting.
Yeah, I mean, that is a huge, huge advancement for us moving Java into open source, something that developers had been clamoring for years, and it just shows again the commitment to making sure that we are building upon that and making good on that promise to continue pushing these technologies to the open source.
And we have to give credit to the community members, to people like Absolutely. Mark Villard and Tom Tromey and Andrew Haley in the OpenJDK community who have driven it forward. This has happened through partnership and by settling, if you will, old scores and agreeing that for the general good of free software, we need to work together.
Well, and that's a good point. Communities don't always have to agree with each other, right? So the great thing about the community is we can have those discussions in the open, get through this piece and make the platform better for everyone, and I believe really that's what we're seeing here.
Absolutely.
So what else have you found that's exciting?
So another exciting thing I've seen, I don't know if you noticed that VirtualBox 1.6 came out this week. And that's a virtualization environment. It's completely free software. Sun acquired the company that created, a company called Innotech. It's available for download now. And the reason that's really exciting is it lets you run any operating system that you want on your existing desktop free of charge. So you can go get OpenSolaris. We released OpenSolaris 2008.05 at the weekend, and you can try it out on your Mac. You can try it out on Windows if you want to, inside VirtualBox. You can load up Ubuntu 8.05 Hardy Heron and try out Java 6 on that platform. And you can do that without having to go through any nasty pay barriers to get hold of a proprietary virtualization environment.
Wow, that is tremendous. All right, so give me one more. What's one last really exciting thing that you've seen kind of emerge in the open source space out of the show?
So this week, the OpenOffice.org community brought out OpenOffice.org 3.0 beta. And that's got loads of new features in it, including it has a solver for the spreadsheet. It has new file format filters for more recent word processors. But much more excitingly, they have a fully fledged supportable Mac Aqua client. So there's a native Mac version of OpenOffice.org now. And there's a whole new raft of plugins. So the innovation in OpenOffice.org is moved away from trying to put it all into the code itself, and they now have a very active plugin architecture, which is coming out with great stuff like there's a plugin that lets you compress your presentations so that they're small enough to send an email. Under development, there's a plugin that allows you to import PDF files so you can edit them. There's a plugin that lets you have your presentation slides on the screen in front of you as the real slides appear on the screen behind you.
So, I mean, you're already seeing that. I mean, these are features that are typically baked into very high level, very expensive presentation fields, and these are being basically given away in the open source community, right? Developed there Absolutely. And allowed to be used for free. And you hit a couple of big ones. I mean, I love building very heavily laden, image-laden presentations. So being able to compress those, that alone is huge in my
Absolutely.
mind.
Well, what we're seeing happening here is we're seeing the locus of innovation moving into open source. Mm-hmm. So people used to say that open source was just about commodity software, that it was just knockoffs of proprietary software and that the innovation happened somewhere else. Well, that's not true anymore. The locus of innovation is moving into free software, and that's what we're seeing with, look at VirtualBox 1.6, you'll see it has got smooth integration with the operating system. The guest operating system looks like it's just another application running on the computer. Doesn't mess with your kernel at all. Look at OpenOffice.org 3.0. It's got leading edge features that aren't present anywhere else yet. And the really important trend is that we're seeing the mainstream software being open source. OpenJDK is the Java that you can use on any platform that you want to now. It's there in Linux, it's there in every distribution, it's there in OpenSolaris, it's there in Windows. So that's the key trend for me, is the movement of innovation into open source. I think the open source revolution is just beginning to gather steam now.
Yeah, and Sun really is helping to lead that way. You know, part of our mantra as a company is that we're going to move everything into the open source community, right? And help build those communities, help build those platforms in a very transparent, seamless, and open way with, with everyone in the community. As you mentioned before, too, innovation doesn't always happen inside of those small confined spaces. It really is happening everywhere. So why not grab the breadth of that potential and make it better for everyone?
Absolutely. Well, Sun is now involved in literally hundreds of open source communities. We have engagement in something like 750 different open source projects. We have key contributors in communities as diverse as Apache, GNOME, in OpenSolaris. Not just projects that Sun is running, but also general projects in the community. And part of my job has been to move Sun from where it was perceived as being a proprietary technology company and actually open us up and get our technology out there. And I think this year it's really coming true. I'm almost out of a job. It's gone so far.
Let's hope not. So, okay, apart from the exciting things that you've seen here that you're talking about, what's something that you're looking forward to seeing move into the open source community?
Well, going forward, I think that we're seeing a drift towards commercial use of open source software, which is very strong. I don't know if you saw that Gartner were outlooking that by 2012, they say 90% of commercial software will be based on open source. And what that's meaning is that open source developers are increasingly sponsored by corporations, they're increasingly associated with revenues, and that means that being an open source developer is actually becoming one of the better paid jobs that you can have out there, which it seems a huge paradox. It's all there for free.
So
and
you're the better paid job if you're making free software.
Absolutely. So that's the place that we're heading to, and I think that I'm very interested this year to see how the free and open source software community copes with its success, because with this influx of corporate influences, I think we need to begin to look at more than just licenses. Open source has been very much associated with standardized licenses, standardized by the Open Source Initiative. I think we need to begin to focus on things like software patents. I'm personally an opponent of software patents. Sun, as a corporation, has to be careful what it says, but we generally are very much in favor of reform, and issues like that are going to move to the forefront over the coming year. The handling of trademarks in open source software is going to be a real issue, and these sort of issues are going to need collective action by the open source communities. So over the coming year, I'm actually expecting some of these almost philosophical and political issues to become really important. In technology terms, we can just expect to see a tide of innovation coming forward. Go look, if you haven't, at Mozilla Sunbird and Mozilla Lightning, bringing calendaring into the email client. Go out there and look at what's happening with things like LifeRay, with the portal becoming an open source infrastructure. Go look at what's happening in identity management. All of these areas of enterprise software are becoming part of the open source story as well.
And you brought up one really interesting point there, which is about the community working to, to kind of, paraphrase, police themselves. And this is typically what we see that happens in these sorts of communities, that the people that are going to put their own personal work in it, well, now it is personal, and they're doing this because they want to make this better. And so if communities feel like they have a sense of ownership, which they do, they will tend to police it harder, keep everyone true, everyone fair. So,
well, fantastic to talk about that with you, Chris.
It's a pleasure to speak with you, Simon.
Absolutely.
I've been here with Simon Phipps, the Chief Open Source Officer at Sun Microsystems. Thanks for watching.